All right, good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and thank you, Josh, for setting this up for me. Your comment about Katy Freeway actually represent the historical perspective of Houston. I'm from Houston, and actually the project I'm going to actually share with you is actually a testament of concept and vision, leapfrogging from historical capacity-oriented thinking to more multimodal integrated TSMO and TDM integration process. Storage started from 10 years ago. Actually in Houston, a group of leaders start thinking about textile need to continue to build and manage capacity, but as you have mentioned, they already knew they cannot build their way out of congestion. So 10 years ago, 2016, they started to apply the first ATCMTD grant. You probably are. Remember, that's the first round of this $300 million grant. They give out $60 million every year, and they're one of the first cohort. They won the grant in 2016. Because it was so new, it actually took them 3 years to do local procurement. So the contract did not actually go out until 2019. Boom, 3 months later, COVID hits. Everything went to kind of not so much of hibernation, but actually get to a very turbulent situation, and then need to rethinking about change your driver behavior, commuting patterns, and there's just a lot of agile, fast adjustments, and change a lot of processes and service offering and structures. And finally, we actually launched the service in 2022, about closer to 3 years ago, 2022. And it was actually, I'm going to share with you a few, why we found it very meaningful, insightful result over the last couple of years. It is an ongoing project, and it's actually through not only textile federal highway, but regional collaboration is really the key. The assistant director of HGAC, Mrs. Jamila Owens, has been a great champion for this project. Without her support, this would not have been gone so well. Now, let me share with you, right? The purpose, the goal and vision for this project since the beginning is actually to meet both user needs and TSMO goals. Okay, so it's kind of people say, well, why would the DOT actually do that? Because they have TSMO goals, but they realize that actually without driver being part of it, you cannot really meet that TSMO goal if there's no behavior change. But to do that, you need to bring service integration. In this case, on the left-hand side is actually we call a MOS service. Integrate all the services we have locally, but however, once you build it, driver may not come. So actually there had to be a strategy to say, hey, driver, from time to time, how would you be willing to actually drive less? But in the meantime, 90+% of driver, you need to actually integrate with our existing ITS infrastructure or the TSMO strategy to make sure the system actually is providing them, we call a ATIS 2.0, personalized 511, if you put it that way, is to deliver real-time information about construction, incidences, flooding, real-time, personalized, so that at least they can mitigate, their travel can be mitigated. So this is the thinking started 10 years ago, and the system is built that way. Now, I'm not going to walk you through, but over the last couple of years, we built 6 dimensions. Just pay attention. These are the service offerings being put into these 6 dimensions, with 40+ modules have been built and put into one single system. I'm going to kind of quickly go, just kind of show you, these are all real screen found yet, right? On the left-hand side, you can see these are all MOS oriented. Right-hand side, TSMO. And what that really means. The left-hand side, you have trip planning, you have transit ticketing, you have carpooling, you have van pooling started, and you have gamifications, you have parking, you have all these ways to help driver to think about, if I want to drive less, how can I find carpool buddies? How can I actually find transit services? How can I find share bikes, right? These are all the things around Houston that we can actually put them together. However, most of the time when drivers are driving on the road, Houston flood a lot, real-time flooding. A lot of instant alerts is going to impact you on the route before you go, or when you are already en route. Cameras, And then even linking with the Tow and Go, here's our actually real-time roadside assistance program. From the app, immediately one push buttons actually send a signal to TMC, TrainStar, and tow truck know exactly where you are. They come in within 10 minutes, right? These are type of things that can really help with instant management. And so all these are integrated into one single app. And that's the thought, is no more too many apps. Every service, and this is the time for us to bring all the service into one seamless user experience. That's the key. When you have so many fragmented services, different apps, become a user adoption barrier. Now, just kind of share with you a little bit more early achievement we have seen so far, right? So far, we have 30,000 users, and we have achieved more than 150,000 VMT reductions. We have sold more than 50 transit tickets, and we have won a Astro Award due to its innovative thinking, implementation, and outcome last year. Now, I can talk about all the exciting functionality features all days, but for our audience today, I cherry-picked 2 case studies, just kind of give you a little bit more concrete idea about how this system can achieve some TISMA goal. First one is about safety. So this is actually a picture from our local newspaper, Houston Chronicle. You can see the sign on the right is kind of crazy, right? Multiple school zone signs, and actually had different active time. In Houston, actually a lot of middle school, high school, they are actually adjacent to each other. So actually they have very different time when the elementary school, middle school, high school, they come to school at different time. When you drive by, you don't know, okay, you cannot see, am I in that school zone time or not? And a lot of violations are due to behaviors. It's not like drivers are intentionally violate the school zone speed limit. We call low Q salience. It means sometimes they are obstructed by trees. There are so many distracted information on the roadside, unclear temporal cue. They don't really know, okay, am I in the right time? And there's no immediate feedback. Okay, I kind of blow through the school zone, but there's no immediate feedback, right? Now these are what, as a academic, behavior science by training, we start looking into ways that we can maybe address that from the behavior, and then linking with the technology. Here's the key. Now, if you can bring this kind of real-time information that already wired some of the 150 schools in Houston, that actually we link with a partner called Applied Information. They have a system linked with all the 150 schools, right? So we actually know in real time which school zone actually have active school zone at that time. Through the CV2X system brought to our app, now connect to the CarPlay, and immediately you actually turn your CarPlay system into what we call a onboard unit. And this is the alert. Additional alert you'll see. When you're approaching into the school zone, enter school zone, it already pop up a one alert, hey, you are in the school zone. This is a sign actually when you are speeding inside the school zone. Okay, there's another pop, it becomes bright, shiny red, and there's a buzz. So the idea is actually, think about this, right? You are priming user when you have the entrance alert, and then you provide an active alert, you provide active feedback. So the 4 component I was talking about, again, as a behavioral scientist, I want to show you how actually simple things like this, self-intuitive, but actually address behavior from 4 dimensions. In gently nudge user without penalizing them. You actually give the information to them in front of their eyes, they cannot miss it. You get an instant feedback. Okay, you get an instant feedback. You prime them. Prime them means, okay, already an alert when you enter a school zone, and then bigger alert when you actually speed. And then we collect data. Well, we have all kind of data that allows us to do a very large scale analysis, right? And then we can show all the major violations throughout the Houston districts. But I want to show you something more meaningful is the school zone violations on our system that we observe roughly around 20%. Okay, and now is it higher or low? Actually, it's quite low compared to some of the prior study that have been done in Texas, Florida, and Virginia. Okay, much lower. And we also survey our user, right? They say, hey, how do you feel about when you see this sign, right? More than 57% reported that, they become more alert, more attentive when they see it, and definitely 54% of them actually want to have them, kind of intentionally kind of slow it down, right, when you see the alert. So you can see that kind of instant feedback does work, right? And so this is the simple way of looking at all this behavior science, technologies, and systems must all integrate together, can really deliver a very immediate impact and results. Second case study I would like to show you is actually how VMT reduction and construction mitigation can be achieved through social carpooling. Now, social carpooling is a interesting, but it has not been dormant for a while, particularly after COVID. But it has been recognized from the beginning as one of the major modes for city like Houston. It has been sprawled over decades. Transit system cannot keep up with 95+% dominating drivers. And survey have shown, hey, other than driving alone, the second most accepted mode is to carpool with my coworker. But there's no way to do it. It's hard to do it. There's no technologies to do it, and it's just hard to find matches. So the system has designed what we call social carpooling. And I'm going to walk you through some specific characteristic for that. But you also address some of the potential particular issues I'm going to show you. Now, these are the basic features. Carpool, you actually, with a coworker, with someone you have some sort of social structure with. And then it's social proof, which means that actually, from a behavior standpoint, it lowers some sort of perceived risk. And it's designed with on-demand carpool. Schedule carpool means I can schedule carpool with someone for tomorrow, or if I want to carpool with someone right now, just for the meeting, go to lunch together, I can find carpool buddies. Flexible. You had tied with emergency ride home. Carpool is being shown to be one of the most potential but most unreliable service because driver can drop you anytime last minute. And there's a perceived risk. Emergency ride home is a service that we integrated with HCAC's emergency ride home program to say, hey, last minute driver actually somehow no show, you actually had a way to get home. It's so important from the behavior standpoint. And now it's considered one of the major tools for us to actually deal with a major construction project like NHIP is a $15 billion project, rebuilding entire 45 in downtown area. People have nowhere to go unless they actually start for the business, community, start to form some sort of carpool group in and out of downtown. It's a doomsday. There's no other options. Now, so talk about this particular, is a behavior science-driven design. First of all, why want a group? Because it reduces the perceived risk. Strangers is always the number one mental barrier. Couple of stranger, not really. So employers, right, city or TMA agency, they can form also the carpool. And we have a number of company employer actually start doing that quite successfully. I'll show you the result in the next slides. And I'm working with TMAs like Movability in Austin, setting up some of the major 11 employment centers throughout Austin, and actually start for people you're working in the area, start to sign up for that group and find buddy to actually in and out of your workplace. So, and then we also actually have some sort of chip-in functions. Chip-in is the ability for driver to say, hey, passenger, are you willing to actually share $5 for this trip? Okay, actually, based on a survey, most of the passengers feel like it's fair for me to chip in on top of some additional incentive that agencies are willing to provide. And again, linking with emergency ride home, all this you can see is specific address the behavior barrier risk management perspective. That's really important because in the end, you could build a system and still nobody wants to use it. So here's some early results I'm going to share with you, and quite interesting and exciting. Number one, it continues to be considered as the number one choice based on our survey to our user and SGSC. Number one choice other than solo driving. Second, so far we have achieved 63,000 VMT reductions. And what's more meaningful is while it accounts for only 25% of non-driving trips, we're talking about transit, walking, biking, carpool, all combined together, you only account for 25%, but you actually account for 41% of total VMT reduction, which we call outsized impact. Why? Because this carpool are used mostly for commuting. So if you can get someone to commute for 30 miles to carpool, you save 30 miles there, right? It's very, very efficient compared to walking and biking. Employer make a huge difference. While region-wide, the carpool rate is about 9%, and overall user, regardless of their affiliations, we have achieved 13%. And then I'm just using two major employer examples here, Harris County and Rice University. You can see what employers' participation, leadership, providing challenges, campaign, and actively guiding their employees to carpool. The rate is skyrocketed. It make a huge difference. That's exciting and provide us guidance to continue to actually work with the like-minded employer to actually participate in this program. You can see, just look at the time they actually carpool, right? Definitely early morning rush hours, PM rush hours are the major ones, right? Good. We'd like to see they are actually using carpool for commuting. Middays. There are a lot of midday works, right? That means they go to lunch together, and may go to meeting together. They used to be drive two cars. Now, hey, let's just even coworker put it together and go together. And we also actually help them to carpool during the evening hours, right? It could be work, social events, or it could be weekend hours, right? So these are opportunities for us to actually allow people to carpool on demand, pre-schedule for a variety of different situations. As I said, 41% of BNP reduction is what we can achieve through carpool. Final slides. And if you're interested in other learning we have found from all the other capabilities, we'd love to share a lot more. The final report is coming out. But really, we believe this is the first, I would say, not just a pilot. It has been operating. The vision has been carried over 10 years, and through 3 years of deployment has proven it's been successful. Actually, in the driver-dominating cities, that actually opportunities exist. And we are actually finding that regional collaborations is really key, providing data, services, collaboratively support and promote to their constituents. These are all the secret and very important ingredients to making this a success. And as I said, MAS, when it was taking the form in 2017 in Europe, we started a point we believe that it had to take a very different form and shape in the US because we are driver-dominating communities. And so the approach we are taking, we believe, is the way to go for the US. And we have seen some early signs that it can grow and be successful. So I'm glad to today the opportunity to share with you. We still have a lot to learn. Behavior change can remain to be challenging, but any question and comment for later, I appreciate that. Thank you.